December 18th. I'm Tony T with our NFL Pick Show here for Sunday's action. We have all 11 games. Before we get into just a couple things, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Free NFL picks are updated all season long. We have tons of free picks on our channel, so make sure you subscribe and set those notifications. Also, if you would support our channel, like this video, give us that thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com. We're a multi-capper site showcasing top cappers in our industry. Click the links to hot cappers. Get signed up to some of our long-term passes. You'll see some of our hot cappers right now, like Collins. Mindy's been hot. We've got Pravi as well. Sean, click the links to get signed up to some of our long-term passes. You'll find our press bets here at the center of the page. Each capper can release one best bet per sport per day. Many of them up there here for Sunday's cards. $15 premium pick. Each capper can designate one of their plays on their card as a $15 premium pick, just to introduce their service to new and existing customers. And of course, we have our 3-packs as well, which are great value up on our site. We'll have a lot for you there on Sunday, but some up there right now as we speak. Lots of 3-packs, by the way. Seeing Tiffany in action here, Mindy as well, Ben. So go ahead and get signed up. And our pick ticker, if you prefer, you may purchase our picks a la carte with team versus team information there on the pick ticker. Our promo code is TonyT. You can save 20% off all premium pick packages when you use that promo code TonyT at checkout. You can access our page by clicking the link you see in the description, then click the All Cappers tab and get signed up. Also love to hear from you guys. You can post your picks in our comments. We are looking for cappers. You can apply at our site. And we post every pick and every show on our podcast, Tony's Picks Podcast, available on all major platforms. Just search Tony's Picks. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get this one started. Lions and Jets NFL pick here. This one is on Sunday. Detroit fullback and center questionable, and defensive end questionable here with linebacker out. New York Jet, the quarterback White out, as his receiver Corey Davis on defensive tackle and safety questionable. Detroit improved to 6-7 after that 34-23 home win to the Minnesota Vikings. The Lions gained 464 yards, 134 rushing on 30 carries. Detroit held the Vikings to under 2 yards per rush with 394 passing yards on 41 attempts. Jared Goff completed 69% of his passes, 8.5 yards per attempt. He passed for 330 yards and 3 touchdowns. On the year, Goff a 65% completion rate, 7.5 yards per attempt. Jets fell to 7-6, a 20-17 road defeat to Buffalo. Jets gained 309 yards, 76 of it rushing on 22 carries. They did allow over 4 yards per rush to the Bills with 130 passing yards on 27 attempts. Mike White is injured ribs, will not play. Zach Wilson comes back, a 55% completion rate with 6.8 yards per attempt. He passed for 4 touchdowns and 5 picks. Lions have won 5 of 6, covering all 6 of those games. They were competitive in that home 3-point loss to Buffalo on Thanksgiving. The switch to Wilson, a kind of a massive concern here for the Jets. The player will be on Detroit at +1. Chiefs and Texans NFL pick. This one here is on Sunday. Tony, a receiver here, is out for KC, a defensive tackle questionable. Texans running back Pierce, receivers Cooks and Collins out. Also a left guard out. On defense, both corners are out for Houston. Kansas City 10-3 after that 34-28 road win at Denver. KC gained 431 yards, 89 rushing on 23 carries. Chiefs allowed 5 yards per rush to the Broncos with 214 passing yards in this one on 44 attempts. Patrick Mahomes, 66% completion rate, 8.4 yards per attempt. This season, Mahomes, a 66% completion rate, 8.1 yards per attempt. Houston is 111-1 after that 27-23 road defeat to Dallas. Texans posted 327 yards, 114 rushing on 37 carries. Houston allowed 4 yards per rush to the Cowboys with 277 passing yards on 39 attempts. Davis Mills, 76% completion rate, coming back from his benching, 8.3 yards per attempt. He passed for 175 yards and an interception. Season-wide, a 63% completion rate with 6.6 yards per attempt. Third straight road game for the Chiefs. They have failed to cover 3 straight on the highway, giving up 372 yards with 248 passing, 71% completion rate, 7.1 yards per attempt. The play will be Houston at +14.5. Steelers and Panthers NFL pick here for Sunday. Pickett out for the Steelers with a linebacker questionable. Carolina receivers Morris Chenault questionable. A safety is questionable on defense. Pittsburgh fell to 5-8 with their 16-14 home defeat to the Baltimore Ravens. Steelers put up 329 yards with 65 rushing on 20 carries. They did allow 5 yards per rush to the Ravens with 94 passing yards on 17 attempts. Mitch Trubisky completed 73% of his passes with 9.2 yards per attempt. He did pass for 276 yards with a touchdown, but 3 picks. On the year, Trubisky, a 63% completion rate with 6.8 yards per attempt. Carolina improved to 5-8 after their 30-24 road win at Seattle. Panthers posted 324 yards in the game, 223 rushing on 4.6 yards per attempt. They limited the Seahawks to 46 rushing yards on and 241 passing on 36 attempts. Sam Darnold completed 58% of his passes in the game, 5 yards per attempt. He passed for 120 yards and a touchdown. Darnold this year just 58% completions, 6.6 yards per attempt. Pittsburgh over the past 3 games holding teams to 302 yards. Carolina in this period averaging just 294. The player will be Pittsburgh at +3. Eagles and Bears NFL pick Sunday. Philadelphia starters are on offense healthy with a safety out defensively. Chicago receiver Claypool out with the starters on defense healthy. Philadelphia improved to 12-1, a 48-22 road win at the New York Giants. Eagles put up 437 yards with 253 rushing on 31 carries. They allowed 5 yards per rush to the Giants with 181 passing on 32 attempts. Jalen Hurts, he completed 68% of his passes with 7 yards per attempt. He threw for 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. This season, Hurts a 68% completion rate with 8.1 yards per attempt. Chicago, they're now 3-10 after a 28-19 home defeat to the Green Bay Packers. They hit the bye week after the loss. Bears put up 409 yards, 155 rushing on 25 carries. They allowed over 5.5 yards per rush to the Packers with 282 passing on 31 attempts. Justin Fields completed 80% of his passes, 10.2 yards per attempt. He threw for 254 yards and 2 interceptions. Bears defense getting torched, allowing 27 or greater points over the past 6 games. Past 3 games, Eagles averaging 29 points and 465 yards a game. Play here Chicago and Philadelphia over 48.5. Saints and Falcons NFL pick here for Sunday. Atlanta's healthy on offense and defense. The Saints tight end Johnson questionable. On defense, the linebacker and corner questionable. Atlanta fell to 5-8 after that 19-16 home defeat to the Pittsburgh Steelers that hit the bye week. Falcons posted 306 yards, 146 rushing on 28 carries. On defense, they allowed nearly 5 yards per rush to the Steelers with 197 passing yards on 28 attempts. Falcons switched to rookie quarterback Desmond Ridder here. Mariota out for the season, listed with an injury. Now, Logan Woodside is the backup who spent this season on the Titans practice squad. Ridder has seen no action in this regular season, but he did see extended work in the preseason through 2 interceptions in his final preseason game. New Orleans is 4-9 after their 17-16 road defeat to Tampa Bay. Saints gained 298 yards, 66 rushing on 25 carries. They allowed nearly 4 yards per rush to the Bucs with 274 passing yards on 54 attempts. Andy Dalton, 71% completion rate, 8.2 yards per attempt. He passed for 229 yards and a touchdown. This year, Dalton, a 67% completion rate with 7.5 yards per attempt. Ridder fell in the draft due to his arm strength. Falcons have lost 5 of 6 on the road trip as they allowed 393 yards, 271 passing with 7.6 yards per attempt. Player will be on New Orleans -4. Cowboys and Jaguars NFL pick here for Sunday. Dallas starters on offense are healthy and defensive end questionable. Jaguars quarterback Lawrence questionable, as is the right guards. On defense, 2 linebackers questionable. Dallas improved to 10-3, a 27-23 home win to Houston. Cowboys put up 404 yards with 127 rushing on 31 carries. They allowed 3 yards per rush to the Houston Texans with 213 passing on 27 attempts. Dak Prescott, 61% completion rate with 7.3 yards per attempt. He threw for 284 yards and a touchdown. Also a pick in there. Prescott this season, 67% completions, 7.4 yards per attempt. Jacksonville, they're a 5-8 team after a 36-22 road win at Tennessee. Jaguars produced 428 yards, 60 rushing on 25 carries. They allowed nearly 7 yards per rush to the Titans with 227 passing on 38 attempts. Trevor Lawrence completed 71% of his passes with 8.8 yards per attempt. He passed for 368 yards and 3 touchdowns. In his sophomore season, Lawrence a 66% completion rate with 7 yards per attempt. Dallas have a difficult time putting up a good 60 minutes of football with slow starts. Past 3 games, Jaguars defense is allowing 405 yards, 227 passing, and 7.4 yards per attempt. Dallas 2 games behind Philadelphia with 4 to play, so no time for a letdown in this spot. Play here, Dallas -4. Cardinals and Broncos NFL pick Sunday. Arizona receiver Brown is questionable with their quarterback Kyler Murray out. Defense, a defensive end and left corner out. Right corner questionable. Broncos quarterback Wilson out. Receiver Sutton and Hinton out. Guard just questionable. Arizona fell to 4-9 after their 27-23 home defeat to England Patriots. Cardinals gained 323 yards with 113 rushing on 21 carries. Team allowed 5 yards per rush to the Patriots with 225 passing on 35 attempts. We got Colt McCoy completed 67% of his passes in the game, 6.2 yards per rush. He threw for 246 yards and an interception on the season. McCoy a 69% completion rate, 6.3 yards per attempt. Denver 3-10 after that 34-28 home defeat to Kansas City. Broncos put up 320 yards with 106 rushing on 19 carries. Denver held KC to 4 yards per rush with 342 passing yards on 42 attempts. Brett Rippon in relief last week completed 51% of his passes in the game. Completion rate just 4.5 yards, and his completion rate here 6.3 yards per attempt. The past 3 games, their Cardinals defense allowing 5.3 yards per rush. Denver running for 4.8 yards a carry in this period. Play here will be Denver -1.5. All right, we got the Patriots and the Raiders NFL pick here for Sunday's action. Stevenson and receiver Myers questionable. Receiver Parker out. A cornerback is out on defense. Las Vegas running back Josh Jacobs and his right ankle there is questionable. A right guard is out on defense. Defensive tackle and linebackers are in this one questionable with a corner out. New England improved to 5-7 with their 27-13 road win at Arizona on Monday night. Patriots gained 328 yards, 103 rushing on 21 carries. On defense, they allowed over 5 yards per rush to the Cardinals with 210 passing yards on 41 attempts. Mac Jones, 69% completions, 6.7 yards per attempt. He threw for 235 yards and an interception. Jones on the season, a 68% completion rate, 7.2 yards per attempt. Las Vegas, they fell to 5-8. A really bad 17-16 road defeat to the Rams, who were under their third-string quarterback. Rams on Thursday night here. Now the Raiders gained 302 yards with 165 rushing on 38 carries. Defensively, they limited the Rams to just over 3 yards per rush with 211 passing yards on 35 attempts. Derek Carr completed 65% of his passes and 2 interceptions. Carr has been on the year here, a 62% completion rate, 7.2 yards per attempt. Short week here for New England. They stayed out west. That means a loss to the Rams, but the loss to the Rams could impact the decision here. That was a bad loss that the Raiders had against the LA Rams. I can't get that stench out of my nose here. The play will be New England +1. Bengals and Buccaneers NFL pick here for Sunday. Cincinnati receivers Higgins and Boyd are questionable, with tight end Hurst out. On defense, a defensive end out. Wide receiver Julio Jones questionable with the Bucs, as is a guard. A nose tackle and corner out for Tampa Bay. A linebacker and both safeties questionable here for Tampa Bay. Cincinnati, they're now 9-4 after a 23-10 home win to Cleveland Browns. The Bengals gained 363 yards in the game, 136 rushing on 26 attempts. They limited the Browns to under 3 yards per rush with 273 passing yards on 43 attempts. Joe Burrow completed 54% of his passes with 7.2 yards per attempt. He passed for 239 yards and 2 touchdowns and a pick in there. This season, Burrow a 68% completion rate with 7.8 yards per attempt. Tampa Bay, they're now 6-7, 35-7 a loss at San Francisco. Bucks gained 322 yards, 69 rushing on 19 carries. They allowed nearly 6 yards per rush here to the 49ers with 195 passing on 23 attempts. Bengals have won and covered 5 straight, and with the Ravens bye week here, they have definitely a spot here. You got to look at them in this spot. Buccaneers have failed to cover 8 of 10 with a push. Past 3 games, Tampa averaging just under 14 points a game. Play here will be Cincinnati minus 3.5. Titans and Chargers NFL pick here Sunday. Tennessee wide receiver Traylon Burks out for the Titans on defense, a linebacker, safety, and corner out. Chargers have a right tackle questionable on offense, on defense, and the end questionable with safety doubtful. Tennessee 7-6, a 36-22 home defeat to Jacksonville Jaguars. Titans put up 364 yards with 137 rushing on 20 carries. They allowed under in this one, they allowed under 3 yards per rush here to the Jaguars with 368 passing on 42 attempts. Ryan Tannehill, 66% completion rate, 6.7 yards per attempt. He threw for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. This season, Tannehill, a 65% completion rate, 7.8 yards per attempt. Clippers improved to 7-6, a 23-17 home win to the Miami Dolphins. Chargers gained 432 yards, 82 of it rushing on 23 carries. They did allow nearly 5 yards per run to the Dolphins with 127 passing yards on 28 attempts. Justin Herbert completed 76% of his passes with 7.2 yards here per attempt. He passed for 367 yards and a touchdown. Herbert this season a 67% completion rate with 6.6 yards per attempt. Titans have lost and failed to cover 3 straight, giving up 418 yards and 340 in the passing games for 8.5 yards per attempt. The player will be on the Chargers playmakers, so we said all healthy here. The player will be on the Chargers at -3. Giants and Commanders NFL pick here on Sunday night. New York Giant tight end questionable. On defense, a corner out with defensive end questionable. Washington starters on offense healthy. Chase Young and a corner questionable. New York comes off a 48-22 home defeat to the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles fell in this one. The Giants fell to 7-5-1. The Giants gained 304 yards with 123 rushing on 24 attempts. On defense, they allowed 8 yards per rush here to the Eagles with 184 passing on 631 attempts. Daniel Jones here completed 67% of his passes, 6.3 yards per attempt. He did pass for 169 yards and a touchdown. This year, Jones a 66% completion rate with 8.5 yards per attempt. Washington 7-5-1, a 2020 tie. The New York Giants as they hit the bye week, and this game was played 2 weeks ago. Giants in this one, Commanders put up 411 yards, 165 rushing on 36 carries. They allowed 4.5 yards per rush to the Giants with 182 passing on 31 attempts. Taylor Heineke, 66% completion rate, 6.7 yards per attempt. He threw for 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. Heineke on the way to a 62% completion rate for the season, 6.8 yards per attempt. Giants have covered 4 straight in Washington. Commanders have failed to cover 3 of 4 against the division. That is the team that facing Giants have failed to cover 4 against the division. Putting up just 17 points a game. Player will be on New York at +4. All right, that was our NFL pick show here for Sunday. Make sure to like, subscribe, set those notifications, and be live with us to get the best numbers from the picks from our experts here on the site at TonySpicks.com. And don't forget to visit TonySpicks.com for our best bets on the board. Get signed up, use that promo code TonyT